Stephen Patrick Morrissey, or Morrissey for short, is known for approaching and stepping over the line of what is socially acceptable to say in public. He's quite well known for his pessimistic character in an otherwise kind of delusionally optimistic celebrity culture. But one part of what I think is linked to his pessimism that hasn't really been touched upon is his view on procreation. And that's what I want to get into in this video, is the question of, is Morrissey an antinatalist? So a good place to start would be his 1991 song, I'm the End of the Family Line, which I think clearly points towards the fact that he's not going to be having biological kids himself. But does it point to him going further and actually being an antinatalist? Well, I think it does go a bit further. Whether it gets to antinatalist or not is another question, but I think it goes further because writing a song about being the end of the family line doesn't just signal that you're just not going to have kids as just some sort of benign personal choice. It goes further and kind of suggests that there is a specific reason why you don't want to have kids that you want to communicate to the outside world. And I think this reason is pretty clear in the lyrics, which I'm going to pop up on screen. Now, these lyrics don't just suggest that he personally doesn't want to procreate. They frame procreation in a negative way. And to me, that suggests an opposition to it. But again, that whole song is just about his personal choice not to continue his family line. Is there any suggestion of how he might view procreation for others, or just procreation as an act itself? Well, I think there are two places actually where he's shone a light on his views about procreation as a general act and what he thinks about procreation for others, not just himself. Now, the first place is in the song Neal, Cassady Drops Dead, and the lyrics, I'm going to pop them up on screen. I don't know if I'm reading too much into these lyrics, but the way I interpret them is he's doing two things here, right? In the first paragraph of lyrics that you can see on screen, he is listing basically all the ways that, or not all the ways, but a lot of ways that innocent children, but people in general, can suffer. And then he asked the question in the second part that you can see lower in the screen. He asked, victim or life's adventurer, which of the two are you? Now, how I interpret these lyrics is that he's playing on the rose-tinted view that people have of reality, because people are quite optimistic about how they view procreation. They see it as an opportunity they're giving someone else. And I think he's referring to this by calling them life's adventurers. You know, these are people we're creating who can now have an adventure and go out into life and, you know, see what it's all about. But he says, are these people life's adventurers or are they victims? Clearly, he's chosen examples here of people who are all victims. He's chosen to highlight ways that children, but people in general, can suffer, right? So he's clearly pointing towards the victim angle. But I think the reason that he is referring to life's adventurers is because he's sort of, I don't know if mocking is too strong a word, but he's drawing attention to the fact that people view the decision to procreate in such a delusionally positive way, because they will, and I think what he's suggesting here is they will view these people, you know, these essentially victims of existence, but they will refer to them as life's adventurers. And so he's saying, well, these people that are clearly having a shit time, are they victims? Or are they just life's adventurers, you know, like the delusionally optimistic view of procreation would have us think? Now, the second place I think that we can see what his views on procreation generally are is in a 2014 interview that he did for Vogue Turkey with Zalal Kalkandelen. Hopefully I'm saying their name correctly. And in it, he says, babies calm down even the most strident political activists. The social certainty is always marriage and children, because this makes people easy to govern and easy to scare. Whereas if we all encouraged to be mobilized and unmarried social thinkers, then we could no longer be controlled by politicians. Now, whatever you think of the accuracy of what he said, whether you agree with it or not, what it shows is his perspective of procreation is negative. He thinks that it detracts from the agency of the human mind, and it increases the ability for others to manipulate you, because they have something now that you really care about, you know, a biological child, that can be used against you, whether that be by a government or an authoritarian government or a company or some other agent. Now, this view of procreation kind of fits in well, because as I said before, he's known for having quite a pessimistic outlook on life, which I think is well characterized in his song Life is a Pigsty. But I do, for balance, want to include that in his autobiography, Morrissey explains how he did consider fathering a child with an ex-partner of his. He says that Tina and I discussed the unthinkable act of producing a mewling miniature monster. Now, here he's referring to Tina Dehmani, who he met in Los Angeles, and I believe he moved there in 1955, which suggests that he's battled with his what seem like antinatalist views over time, but at least at the time of writing his autobiography, and I think around 2013, it seems like he was pretty settled on his view. And I say that because even though he was referring to a time where he was maybe considered procreating, when he was writing his book, he described it as an unthinkable act. So that suggests to me that at least at the time of writing his autobiography, he was pretty firm in his view that it was wrong to create someone. So, is Morrissey an antinatalist? I haven't seen him use the word explicitly anywhere. Maybe he doesn't know the word, but I think it's pretty safe to say that he is at least a flavour of antinatalist. And Morrissey is actually also vegan. He wrote the song Meat is Murder with Johnny Marr when he was the frontman of the Smiths. And he's been very outspoken about animal rights since. He's even got a t-shirt in his official store that says, "Be kind to animals or I'll kill you." And he's compared the plight of animals today and in the past to the plight of the Jews in the World War II Holocaust.
And if you go into an abattoir, which I know you do...
Most evenings.
Daily?
I take a daily trip to an abattoir just to unwind.
Looking for friends.
Keep my mind off things.
It's unpleasant, and it's no different from the Holocaust.
Oh, Morrissey, don't say things like that.
But it's true. It's exactly the same thing.
So I think it's pretty safe to say that he's strong in his views on animal rights and being vegan. So it looks like we've got ourselves a celebrity antinatalist vegan. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you think that my interpretations go a bit too far, or if you think they're correct, and I will see you in the next one.
This beautiful creature must die. This beautiful creature must die. Kill, eat, kill.